Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is co-host of PS I Love You XOXO, Greg Miller.
Hello, Blessing. We're going to miss you this week. You're not on PS I Love You XOXO. It's me and Janet holding down the fort.
Have you gotten a guest? Have you figured out what you're going to talk about?
I don't know if I want a guest. I was thinking about it quite a bit this weekend on what I want to do. I have a good idea. Me and Janet haven't talked about OFK yet, so we need to do that. So we got that already teed up to go for. You know what I mean? But then also, yeah, well, let's see how the PlayStation news develops this week. You know,
I mean, you got the camouflage to talk about.
I know the new camouflage hoodie from kindoffunny.com/store. Oh, that's something different. I didn't hear about that. No, what are you talking about? You have the PlayStation new camouflage too?
I didn't know we had a camouflage hoodie.
Kindoffunny.com/store right there. You can go check it out. Snow Mike did a video for it yesterday.
Wow.
You wouldn't know you were golfing.
I was golfing. It was a
hottest day of the fucking year. Everybody in San Francisco freaking out, ready to die. Blessings out there on the links, hitting 18 holes.
The hottest day in San Francisco is not that hot of a day, but it is a hot day. Like
it was in the 90s. What are you talking about, dude?
You're from the Midwest. You know what summer feels like when you like walk outside and you're immediately sweaty. When it's humid and sweaty.
There was no humidity, which was nice.
Oh no, it was humid in the city.
I didn't feel it. I was out there thriving. Oh, I like this camouflage hoodie.
You get it right now, kindoffunny.com/store. Look at that. Yeah.
Mike
did a really funny video about it. You should watch it.
I like this kind of funny hoodie more than like the camouflage PS5 stuff.
We're going to talk about it later, right? So we shouldn't.
We're going to talk about it later, so we shouldn't burn it all now. I do want to ask, have you started God of War yet? For the God of War replay for PS I Love You.
You know, Blessing, I don't like you trying to keep tabs on me. Don't worry about what I'm doing over here, all right? We got a couple weeks still. We got, what is it? It's the 21st we're recording that episode, right? We got plenty of time.
I'm just saying, we can hold hands right now and just say, fuck it, all right?
We cannot do that.
Days Gone all over again.
We're not Days Gone again. I need to play God of War before Ragnarok comes out again. I love God of War. I'm excited for it. I was obsessed all weekend with that immortality business. You and I, of course, this afternoon, recording a Gamescast segment that'll go into the main Gamescast this week with Rebecca Valentine, all about immortality. So we got a lot to talk about there. That's what I had to be doing. I was sitting there with clips.
That's fair.
I'm clicking on guns, clicking on nips. I'm looking at everything. I'm gonna find.
Dude, we're gonna talk about the Gamescast. I clicked on so many nips. I went down a nip rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Which, if you played Immortality, you know what we're talking about. If you haven't, you should maybe play Immortality. It's on Game Pass. I did start God of War on this big, beautiful machine called the Steam Deck.
Oh, so you're starting from scratch? I see.
I'm starting from scratch. Are you not starting from scratch?
No. Well, I mean, I'm gonna probably do like a new game plus with my old save, which I never did when they finally added that.
I did consider, because the idea of replaying God of War scares me, just because you know, replaying video games is it gonna be as exciting the second time?
Of course.
Am I gonna want to put in the 20 to 30 hours to beat this thing when I could be playing Immortality or Tinykin or some other game? There is that, but then also, I figured I could make the argument that what if I just pick up my PlayStation save and platinum it, as opposed to replaying the whole thing as my way of getting back into God of War. But I figured we already kind of talked about it. We already kind of committed to it. But it was on my mind. I was like, what if I just platinum it instead of replaying it?
See, I think enough time. It's going to be for me like what Last of Us, not part 1 was, but Last of Us Remastered was in 2020. Where that was enough time between the original release of Last of Us and that. Whereas God of War, everyone knows how much I enjoyed it in 2018. I'm expecting to enjoy just as much. And the fact that there are, since I last did it, new trophies. I'm excited. I need to be playing it in the right place. You know?
Gotcha. Well, that's fair. Well, Greg, we're going to talk about God of War later. We're going to talk about Immortality later. But for now, let's talk about today's stories, which include Cyberpunk 2077's new expansion, even more God of War Ragnarok gameplay, and more, because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. That's right, we're back on Twitch. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. If you don't want to watch
right
live,
now on kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, I'm going to correct myself. God. I said that there were new trophies. They just added the new difficulty. I think photo mode, right? There are no new trophies for God of War. Thanks for nothing, Corey Barlog, you lazy asshole. Roger, break that out, tweeted at him.
Greg, there's also the PS5 60 frames per second patch as well.
That I'm excited about. Yeah, technically it's going to be great. You know what I mean?
I will tell you, I took a lot of time right before this KFGD to clear a lot of space in my computer, because as I was playing it on my Steam Deck, I've been enjoying the handheld aspect of it, but I have been missing the fidelity. You know, there's like the textures don't look as great, like it doesn't run as well. It's fun, it's really playable, but I'm like, ooh, God of War is a hot looking game. I should play it in a hot looking way, and so I think I'm gonna go back and forth between the Steam Deck.
If you're worried about storage, you probably just play it on your PlayStation. You know what I mean? Get in there.
Yeah, but that's why we need cross save. Because like I really want to play it. I would play it on PlayStation.
Get all those
like,
frames. Don't you want those frames? Come on.
I want the frames, but I also want to be able to play it when I go to LA later this week. Because let me tell you, D23 is happening. I'm going to be there.
And I'm sure at D23 you're gonna have so much downtime to play God of War.
I'm leaving in like 2 days. I bet
you don't put more than 45 minutes into God of War. Not planes.
I got a whole.
Not
Oh,
planes,
not planes. Okay,
yeah.
no, that's fair because I am planning to play it on the plane. But I digress. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames, RoosterTeeth.com, or you can listen later on podcast services around the globe by searching for Kinda Funny Games Daily. Remember, you can use Epic Creator Code Kinda Funny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support the channel. To be a part of the show, to patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, where bronze members or above get to write in, and silver members or above get the show ad-free with the exclusive daily post-show. Housekeeping for you, football season is here, and Andy and Mike are excited to be your play-by-play announcers for the Niners season. Your favorite gaming personalities are scattered all throughout the league. Be a part of Team KF on the Niners, or join another team in the league in hopes to stop our chances at winning the championship. Find out how today on twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames right after Kinda Funny Games Daily.
Another great video that went up this weekend. If you haven't seen it over on Andy's Twitter, go check it out because he's doing something. He's taking the idea of KFW to the NFL, and it's going to be fucking awesome. I can't wait to see this. It's just like how wrestling was. Even if you don't care about wrestling, it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for this. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Fargo Brady. Today we're brought to you by ExpressVPN and Chime, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 6 stories today.
A baker's dozen.
Starting with our number 1. Cyberpunk, 2077's first big expansion has been revealed. This comes from Michael McWhirter at Polygon. Cyberpunk 2077's first major downloadable content, the expansion Phantom Liberty, is coming in 2023. Developer CD Projekt Red announced Tuesday with the add-on's first teaser trailer. CD Projekt Red describes Phantom Liberty as a new spy thriller expansion for Cyberpunk 2077 that will be set in a new district of Night City. The first trailer for Phantom Liberty doesn't offer a ton in the way of detail. Player character V takes an oath to, quote, faithfully serve the new United States of America, while the voice of Johnny Silverhand admonishes her that was a bad idea. There's a snippet of gameplay, but the trailer doesn't promise much. Actor Keanu Reeves confirmed separately in a Night City Wire livestream presentation that he'll return to voice Johnny in the expansion. Phantom City will be available for Google Stadia, PS5, Windows PC, and Xbox Series X versions of Cyberpunk 2077, but not apparently for the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game. The game's new patch, 1.6, known as the Edge Runners update, will be the final update for the PS4 and Xbox One versions of Cyberpunk 2077. The Edge Runners update is named for its tie-in to the Netflix animated series coming next week. Patch 1.6 introduces equipable items from the anime to Cyberpunk 2077, including the jacket worn by David Martinez, the anime's protagonist, and a shotgun used by another character from the show. The update also brings new features to the game, including a clothing transmog system,
Full stop.
Transmog,
Give them a round of applause for finally doing it so you don't have to look like some crazy, my skin is glue and I ran through a Goodwill. Because that's how everybody fucking looks in this game. Cyberpunk, you're supposed to be cool, you're supposed to be slick. I always look like a fucking jackass in this game. So I'm pretty stoked that that'll be there when I come back for the DLC.
Hell yeah. What I'm stoked about is cross-platform progression, which they also announced, and a new playable Roach minigame, Roach Race minigame arcade cabinet, where you're racing as Roach from The Witcher 3, the horse in that game. Right. This is cool. I watched the live stream that they did earlier today. Greg, did you get to catch any of it? And also, like, how do you feel about a new big expansion coming to Cyberpunk?
First part, did I get to watch it? I did not get to watch it. I was in an embargo demo for something else that I'll be able to tell you about one day. And so then I've caught up after the fact, and obviously Transmog's what's jumped off the page for me in terms of what you're getting from the first patch. In terms of the DLC, Bless, it's exciting enough. It's interesting enough, right? Like, I, went through and platinumed Cyberpunk, right, back in the day, the PlayStation 4 version of my PlayStation 5. You ever feel like you got a bug in your back, but you don't, but for a second you did? You got to check it out. You got to make sure.
No,
what if the ticks finally got me? What if this was their move? I can't have it. Platinumed Cyberpunk. I enjoyed Cyberpunk, but it was honestly, it was a lot like our enjoyment of Dying Light, where it was like, cool. I played that. That was this year, by the way, Bless. If you forget, Dying Light 2 Stay Human was this year. We did that this year, if that doesn't sound crazy. But it was that thing where I ran through and I had fun and I platinumed and it was done. And I haven't thought about it since, right? Outside of the many times it comes up to be the dead horse we get to beat on. So it seems like a cool concept. I've seen the trailer. The trailer's cool, but it looks like more Cyberpunk. And I guess that's a world I'd want to go back to and do more in. My problem would be like jumping back in by the end of that game when I platinumed it with my V. Like I was just like, it was like, it's got to be like that moment, you know, how in Groundhog Day when Bill Murray's so fucking sick of everything because he just knows everything. Like it was similar to that in terms of how powerful I was. Where I didn't have to think anymore, right? I'd come up, I'd kneel outside, and I'd like kill everybody, or just leave the one guy I need, or you know what I mean, and go in there and do that, or just go in there and I forget which gun or power I had that was just so super powered that it was just like you're destroyed and decimated. So the interesting thing for Phantom Liberty is like, will there be a balance for that? Will they, you know, everybody be 5 levels up? Are they increasing the cap? I don't know about that. Like stuff like that. Where does that all go? I don't know. For honestly, you know, for Phantom Liberty having a phantom release date of 2023, I think a lot of it'll come down to what's it up against. Because if there's other stuff that's more, you know, exciting and thrilling and new, I probably won't jump on it right away. I would get to it eventually. But how many times have I said I'd get something eventually and it just sits in the backlog and never happens?
Yeah, I'm right there with you in terms of that last part, right? Where I want to be excited for it. And I am excited for this actually, right? But it is that thing of, okay, where in 2023 is this going to land? Because if it lands in February and it's coming out alongside, you know, Dead Space, all the other games that we have announced right now, right? Like where does Breath of the Wild fall?
January.
Dead Space is January. And there's like Resident Evil 4. Like there's a bunch of games that we expect to come in the spring alongside the stuff that we do have confirmed in the spring. And there's a lot of stuff happening alongside Cyberpunk. I don't know if Cyberpunk's going to be the first one I pick up, but it's one that I am anticipating and one that I want to be excited for. And I think that comes down to a few things. One of the things is something Mario brings up in the question that they wrote into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like you can. Mario Malerba writes in and says, "Hey y'all, hope you're having a great morning. CD Projekt Red has announced Phantom Liberty, an expansion for Cyberpunk 2077, and personally, just watching that trailer gave me the itch to jump back into Night City. My question is, how sizable of an update/experience does this need to be in order for it to be seen as a swing in the right direction for Cyberpunk, a game which has been kind of clawing its way back into public favor after its disastrous launch? I've been a Cyberpunk fan since launch. There are tens of us out here. Thanks and keep killing it." And I think Mario touches on a few interesting things, right? I want to start with, you know, I've been a Cyberpunk fan since launch. There are tens of us out here. I would venture to say that there's way more than tens, right? I think there's a good handful of people that are really into Cyberpunk 2077, but it gets drowned out by a lot of the hate and like dissatisfaction and overhype that game saw, right? I remember coming out of Cyberpunk 2077, finishing the game and going, I really enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed my experience here. It is not my game of the year, right? And like, it's not one of my favorite games of the year, but it's a game that I am looking forward to maybe picking up again at some time, right? My plan when I finished Cyberpunk on PC was to replay it again on console, on my PS4. And then, as it turned out, the game ran terribly on the consoles at the time. And so I was like, well, guess I'm just not going to replay it.
I'm not going to go back to this anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back to this. And with that, you know, I was looking forward to the next gen releases. I was looking forward to this new upcoming expansion, and things got delayed because Cyberpunk had such a disastrous launch. And so by the time we got around to earlier in the year when they dropped the new gen versions of Cyberpunk 2077, I actually did pick it up for a second. I did want to re-experience it for a bit there, right? But again, that went back to kind of what we're talking about in terms of timing, where that came out, I think in January or February, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. And if you remember, February was review season where we were playing Horizon, we were playing Elden Ring, we were playing Sifu, we were playing hella games, right? Yeah. And even in March, there were a lot of game releases happening around that time too. And so I peeked in and went, all right, cool, it's for Cyberpunk, and then peeked out because I couldn't find the time to replay the game. One of the things they mentioned during the stream this morning, though, for this Night City Wire, was about how the most current version of Cyberpunk 2077, they feel is the version that they envisioned, right? Okay. They talked about the fixes. They talked about the updates. They talked about even things like overhauling the cop system, which is a highly requested thing from the Cyberpunk audience, right? Like, why do the cops suck this bad? Like, why do these things just not work? You know, fixing driving, fixing a lot of things. They're talking about that stuff, and they're talking about that stuff, frankly, in the Night City Wire in ways that makes me go, all right, cool. It seems like the water's warm. It seems like I can jump into this and have a good time and not have to worry too much about the game-breaking bugs and certain things just not working. And if that's the case, I think putting out a new expansion and that expansion hitting is going to be really good for the game. Because for me, all I need this expansion to do is to have a great story. I need to be enthralled by the plot. I need to care about what's going on in the characters and the plot lines and the twists and all that stuff. If they nail that and the game plays as it should, that's all I need for me to be very satisfied with the experience and for me to look forward to the future of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I mean, when Cyberpunk's story worked, it worked really well, right? Like, I think we always talk about the funeral scene, right? The one you go to or whatever. And I remember walking around being like, this is so fucking good. But then, yeah, it was surrounded by a lot of mediocrity, right? Just like, okay, yeah, the combat or in terms of the cops spawning behind you, just the way the world worked. And again, so much of that is because of the way it under-delivered on all of its promises. And that's impossible to separate those things and not have that, oh, it's just this. Like, if that had come out of the blue, not even out of the blue, if it had been marketed a little bit more honestly, right, and it lived up and people said this is what it's going to be, and it was what it was, and it wasn't these E3 demos that won game of the show multiple years in a row because those demos were so crazy, and like, how are you going to do this? And the answer is they weren't going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, if that bar hadn't been set, it'd be interesting to see how Cyberpunk would have been received, but I don't think it would have been too much different than how it is now, where it is just like, oh yeah, that was a game I played. That was fun. Pan Am was a cool character. I like doing this. I looked like an idiot. There was all whatever. Like, I'm in such a weird spot of just like, I had put so many hours into it to then be this cold in terms of what happened in it and where do we leave off to jump back in. If it's got a good onboarding process and an interesting story, sure, I could see it being fun, but it is going to be more Cyberpunk, and I'm not really clamoring for that, right?
I think I'm a little bit more hot on it than you, where a few days ago, Paris was tweeting about Cyberpunk, as he always does. And I saw
surprise.
surprise.
How many yellow chairs does this motherfucker have now?
I saw him tweeting, and it kind of ignited a nostalgia for me, where I was like, damn, I kind of miss Cyberpunk. And I think that goes back to just who I am as an RPG player, where I loved Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I loved Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and I love Fallout, right? And I love those kinds of settings for Western RPGs. Cyberpunk was supposed to be the apex of that, right? Like, I was looking forward to Cyberpunk being, okay, this is what you love about Deus Ex, but now it's open world and the scope is bigger and it's more stylish and all these things. And again, they didn't nail all the different parts of that, but I think that is still a world that I would want to hang out in. I still look back at Cyberpunk and I am like, that was one of the most stylish games I played that year. In terms of set dressing, in terms of visual direction, art, all that stuff, I still think Cyberpunk is really impressive. But like you said, right, coming out of playing that game originally, that game was not a 10 out of 10. That game was not what people thought it was going to be. But with that, right, for me, I was still like, this is a good game. It's a fun game. It's a game that I would want to play more of. And I think if what I want out of this next DLC is for it to tee up a roadmap of content, right? I would love for me to play this expansion in spring 2023, and then it is, hey, we got another expansion coming for you either later in the year or sometime next year, right? If I can get one or two story expansions that don't have to be long, right? They can be anywhere from 5 to 10 hours, which I guess is probably pretty long, but like 5 to 10 hours worth of content once or twice a year out of Cyberpunk, for me, I would look forward to. And I think that could kick off what the original plan of Cyberpunk was, which is, we want, as CD Projekt Red, we want two pillars to what is making us company, or what is making us money as a company, right? It is The Witcher and it is Cyberpunk. If they can get this going, if they can nail it, I think that starts to sow the seeds of eventually having that multiplayer game that they originally concepted and talked about and wanted to make happen, right? Like, that is the kind of snowball effect that I would love to see, but is very ambitious for where we're at with Cyberpunk today, which is didn't set the world on fire. I would love for that to eventually happen with it, though.
Are they still doing multiple expansions? I remember when there's been so many rumors, this, that, and the other. Like, I'm trying to figure out if did they change that to one, or is it no?
I want to say, if this is a kind of funny.com / you're wrong thing, because I remember them releasing multiple roadmaps.
Yeah, and that's why I get so confused.
I remember them shifting back and forth between, like, actually we're not doing multiplayer, but we are doing this thing, like we are doing DLC. I forget if they talked about an amount of DLC expansions. Chat, let us know if you can find exactly like the last update they put out on that. And kind of funny, you're wrong, but they definitely have more stuff planned after this expansion. Like, we can say that at least.
Hobo Rocky says they don't. He says they've said just one, so I don't know.
Oh man,
and that would be my
gut
reaction for it, is that they would do this and then just be done. Just get out of this. Get out of Cyberpunk. Get out of the debacle. Don't forget we're making Witcher and move on with The Witcher.
You think they give up on Cyberpunk after this expansion?
For Cyberpunk 2077, yes. Yeah. Wow. I don't think as a franchise, no. Like, I think they'll make another Cyberpunk eventually. I think they'll go do all that stuff, but I feel like they've done themselves in terms of this. And I mean, maybe it's that thing we always go back on. Well, it sold so well, but remember the returns and this, that, and the other. Yeah, but what about the public perception? And yet, like, Cyberpunk has been a black eye, right? So you promised an expansion, right? So it's got to be one of those. Okay, we'll get it out. Like, they're still trying to do right. They're still trying to make up for what they did here. But I don't know.
If that's the case, I'll just cut and run and not even do this expansion. I know at this point probably enough work has been done on it where it's just like release it. But if the plan is to not do more Cyberpunk 2077 content after the expansion, then why release the expansion? I think that's where I'm at.
The only nanobiologist writes in kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. It says CD Projekt Red CEO confirmed in May 2022 that there will be only one DLC.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild to me. That must.
I'm trying for. I'm looking at
it's more story DLC than GTA 5 ever did. You know.
Oh.
Yeah, but also like I'm comparing it more to The Witcher, which I believe did have like a bunch of shit, right? Like
Blood and Wine,
like
really big expansions.
Yeah, like people really dig the expansion packs for like CD Projekt Red RPGs. I guess Witcher is the only example. So people really dug it for Witcher. It's all think that as CD Projekt Red, you want to replicate that for a Cyberpunk. But again, two different situations, two different scenarios. I get it, but I'm also like, dude, why even do the one then? Like you've done so much.
You said you would. They've talked about this before, right?
You've done so much work to fix it.
They can't. The whole story of Cyberpunk, right? Of the pre-launch, launch, and then after is like CD Projekt Red or CD Projekt and their word. And they did not deliver on what their word was for what they said this game was going to be. A lot of people say they lied. And so now they had to go through and fix it, and they had to work the patches. They do their thing. And so if you said you're getting DLC, you're getting DLC. But why? It's back to why give more than you need to. Just do what they have to do and get out.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that case, tomorrow's
hold on. So let me read a little bit here. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm on Games Radar. This is the link. The only nanobiologist sent in. CD Projekt Red 2077 may only get one DLC. This is Hiram Cryer, right? CD Projekt Red CEO has seemingly confirmed that Cyberpunk 2077's forthcoming expansion will be its only one. Speaking of financial Q&A earlier this week, CD Projekt CEO Adam Kaczynski was asked about the future projects using the in-house Red engine after The Witcher 4 was revealed to be ditching it for Unreal Engine 5. Cyberpunk expansion will be the last project based on the Red engine, he said. Any further projects will be on Unreal. This seemingly is confirmation that 2077's upcoming story-driven DLC expansion will be the only one of its kind, and the game won't receive any further content after that. This would be unlike Witcher 3, which received 2 expansion, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine in the years after it first launched. This is a surprise because CD Projekt staff have previously used expansions, plural, when referring to Cyberpunk's future DLC. A UI coordinator referenced multiple expansions prior to the game's launch in 2019, while a quest director referenced multiple expansions as recently as last month in April. So there you go.
Wow.
So there you go. Bless.
I mean,
might reignite your passion, get you back in. This is the goddamn nail in the coffin, all right?
But here's the thing. I think it's the nail in the coffin for Cyberpunk 2077. I don't think it's the nail in the coffin for the Cyberpunk franchise.
Okay. No, 100%. I mean, they're doing the anime right now. Yeah. Like Edge Runners, like you're talking about.
And I guess that's where the core of my thought comes from. Of you got Edge Runners. You're doing the Edge Runners update for Cyberpunk. You got the new DLC coming in next year. Oh yeah, there's a future for Cyberpunk. Like they want Cyberpunk to live and exist sometime in the future. I guess that's just not Cyberpunk 2077, which makes sense because the foundation is rocky, right? The foundation is started off not great, and I'm sure to some extent might be unsalvageable in a lot of ways because it just wasn't what it needed to be. That said, right, like if in 2025 you release the multiplayer project, or if it is 2030 you release a new Cyberpunk game, or whatever you have to do to gain in that goodwill and good faith from your audience to enable you to be able to release more Cyberpunk stuff, yeah, you got to do that. But I guess for this Cyberpunk game, the new expansion is the swan song. And to Mario's question of how sizable of an update / experience does it need to be, based on our discussion right now, I have bigger hopes for like how the size of it, right? Because I was going into it being like, 4 to 5 hour story. If it's just that, then it's like, okay, well, fuck. I need it to be like maybe 8 to 10 hours at least if it's going to be the last big sizable expansion for Cyberpunk. I think that's the only big sizable expansion. Do you think that's crazy?
Crazy person, yeah. This is going to be a couple hours of things to do, a few hours to say you did it, to deliver on your promise that you made, so they don't have yet another arrow in the quiver to fire at you and be like, CD Projekt lies. They lie all the time. I hate it.
Imagine me being disappointed by Cyberpunk again.
I know, right?
Just getting overhyped again and getting disappointed again. It's going to happen.
Just let it go. Just let it go, bless.
Dear Lord. Speaking of hype, let's talk about story number 2. We got more God of War Ragnarok gameplay with our first look at Svartalfheim. This comes from Tom Ivan at Video Games Chronicle. Svartalfheim. A new God of War Ragnarok gameplay video has offered the first look at the Dwarven realm, Svartalfheim. Am I saying that right? Is Svartalfheim?
I mean, I think you're nailing it. It's just you're really emphasizing, which is just nutty. And I like
I'm also realizing hold on, they're spelling it 2 different ways, which is throwing me off. In the title,
the correct way for Google Docs, it's there's an F before the H.
So it's Svartalfheim?
No, I think the F is silent.
It's silent?
I think.
Call
it Fartalheim and move on.
The Game Informer video provides some insight into how Sony Santa Monica's level designers brought the realm to life for the upcoming sequel. While 2018's God of War included 6 of the 9 realms in Norse mythology, Ragnarok will let players visit them all. Quote, God of War Ragnarok will take you to the previously unreachable Vanaheim, Svartalfheim, and Asgard, as well as to new areas from the locations featured in the last game. Grace Orlity, lead community manager at Sony Santa Monica, previously told the PlayStation blog. Quote, exploring the realms will take you everywhere from the verdant, otherworldly jungles to intricate subterranean mining networks. This next installment in the series will bring you a more diverse, beautiful, and mysterious variety of locations than any other God of War game. End quote. Greg, are you excited to explore Svartalfheim?
I can't wait to be all up inside Svartalfheim. That's what it's all about. This is one that, I saw it come through the Twitter feed today. I know Game Informer's doing a whole bunch of coverage, and I did I'm not going to watch this. And then I'm like watching just the Discord version of it here, right? But it's like, I don't want to see anything. Like, I don't need it. I don't need to see anything about God of War.
I'm right there with you. I the only reason I'm watching content is because of this show, right? Where I'm like, this is a headline. I try to talk about it. Oh, whatever.
And that's the thing, ladies.
If I didn't have to talk about it, I wouldn't watch it.
We don't get enough credit for it. All right. There's all these grenades and landmines out there every day for games coverage. We toss them on. We toss ourselves on them. Do you think I want to see this? You think now I know Kratos has his blades. Did I want to know that? I didn't want to know that. You know what I mean? You know what? If you're on Twitch right now, I'll tell you what, Twitch kids, you got to step it up. We did an experiment last week with YouTube where we were streaming to YouTube. Those kids were so nice. They were just giving out subs and things left and right. Where are my subs at right now? I'm out here doing God's work. Blessing.
Bear, I need to pause the video and scroll back 10 seconds. Now,
hold on.
I still stand where I stood about last episode of KFGD when they were rowing down the river on the boat.
Okay.
Last episode of KFGD, right? There was another one of the Game Informer drops, which like this strip feed. Oh man, it's dripping like very slowly. It is, hey, here's 1 minute of content. Here's like 30 seconds of stuff that you might have seen before, might have not seen before, but we'll give you like 5 sentences telling you about why you should care. It is like the very slow drip feed. And of course, I don't put that on Game Informer. That is for sure Sony being like, here's some crumbs, talk about it.
Yeah. That's all we need, man.
And that's all we need.
Listen.
And what up, Greg?
You don't put it on Game Informer. Don't get me wrong. I worked at IGN, motherfuckers. Let's rewind a trailer. Let's rewind theater screenshot. All right. This is the game of it, right? Where, when they said they were going to have all this access, I'm like, how? And then it's like, oh, okay. You're going to have these 1 minute clips and do whatever of him rowing. Okay.
Exactly. And I stand a bit where I stood on Friday, which is the more I look at it, the more I'm like, what if it's just a little bit more of God of War, right? What if it is God of War 2018, but might look slightly better, might have some more combat.
Are you saying that it's another masterpiece? What are you saying?
Are you saying once again, Blessing, that maybe our wild expectations and how we keep talking about a Metal Gear Solid 2 twist based on no evidence, we're just talking out our ass for years on PS5? You think that might have fucked up our expectations?
That's where I'm like, okay, I need to start opening myself up to the fact that that's probably, and maybe is what that's going to be, which is going to be fine, right? And like Barry's like, that's another masterpiece, and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. Like if I'm playing God of War 2018 again, that's fine. I want it to be more. I want it to be. Sure. I want it to like stick out more and be more special. But if it is what it is, then that's totally fine. But Bear, if you can bring it back up, one thing I do want to point out that I might be making an ant out of a molehill. This is me doing the IGN Rewind Theater thing. As Kratos and Atreus are in this boat rowing down the river, if you can press play, if you can actually rewind. Actually, no. Press play from here. Press play from here. There's this dude who's like on the right side. You see him standing there. Yeah, right there. He's like hanging out, and then he does like a fun little like jog away, and that looks like NPC behavior in a way where it's like, I wonder if I can talk to that guy. Like, I wonder if there's going to be more like NPCs hanging out in some of these realms that you're actually starting conversations with. And like, I don't know about
taking over,
quests
rip
or
his
anything,
spine
but-
out. You ever think of that?
And then like, actually, yeah. What if you can go over just murder him like the old God of War
Also,
games? Bring it back.
Chat's bringing up. You're making an ant out of a molehill.
Sorry, I'm making a. What was the phrase?
A
Mountain
mountain
out of a molehill.
molehill.
You might be making a mountain out of a molehill.
I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here.
Might be making an ant out of a molehill.
As like I'm making something.
Creating life.
I'm making something smaller out of like something that's like way bigger than it is. But yeah, that's my IGN Rewind Theater
It's good. That's good.
take for you. And so, who knows? We'll see. Let me tell you about patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, where you can go get the show ad-free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like checking in your baggage at the airport without a lock. You don't know who's looking through all your stuff, finding all of your Nintendo Switches, your PlayStation Vitas, or all the other things that you're hiding in there. When you go online without a VPN, internet service providers, ISPs, can see every single website you visit. They can legally sell this information without your consent. Nobody wants that. That sounds like a bad time for everybody. You can browse more anonymously. It's easy to use and it works on all devices. I love ExpressVPN. It is super simple to use. I feel safe across all of my devices, knowing that whether I'm on my desktop or my mobile phone, people aren't getting in there. I'm safe on the internet, and what I look at, what I browse, that's mine. That's for me to know. Secure your online activity by visiting expressvpn.com/kindafunny today. That's expressvpn.com/kindafunny. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/kindafunny. Next up, shout out to Chime. Like a cool breeze, Chime is a refreshing way to handle your money. There's no monthly fees, no maintenance fees, and no minimum balance fees. So it's how banking should be done. And when you need access to your money, you can do so fee-free at more than 60,000 in-network ATMs at many locations like most Walgreens or 7-Elevens. You can also send money to anyone, even if they aren't on Chime, fee-free for you and no cash out fees for them. Chime, no monthly fees, no vibe killing fees. Sign up for a Chime checking account. It only takes 2 minutes and it doesn't affect your credit score. You can get started at chime.com/KFGames. That's chime.com/KFGames. Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank NA. Members FDIC. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees apply except at MoneyPass ATM in a 7-Eleven location and at all Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Other fees such as third-party and cash deposit fees may apply. Chime.com/KFGames.
And we're back. I want to give a shout out to the Logan Pierce in chat who said, at Blessing Jr., guys, I'm getting married today. Can I get a shout out from Greg and Bless? Woo! Congratulations.
Go get him, Logan Pierce.
Go get him, Logan Pierce.
I'm sure I'm sure your partner's been up hours and hours now getting ready. You're sitting in your boxer shorts watching Kind of Funny Games Daily. I appreciate your commitment.
Shout out
out
to
of
you.
all the things to be doing on your wedding day, you gotta catch up on video game news. It's not even that big of a news day.
Also, shout out to Logan Pierce for just having a cool name.
That is a great name. Logan Pierce sounds like some like comic book superhero type shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really cool. Let's hop into story number 3. The Division Heartland. New details go live a little too early. This is Adele Anchor's range at IGN. New details about Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland have emerged on a Ubisoft store listing, revealing more about the free-to-play shooter and its various game modes. Twitter user Unknown1Z1 posted a video of the game listing together with a link to the page for it, which now returns a 404 page not found error. The same information, however, appears on another page on the Ubisoft store that spotlights several in-game images as well as new details about the different gameplay features and character options available to players. The game's product description promises massive PvEVP 45-player storm operations that will see players fight against a group of dangerous rogue agents, an aggressive faction known as the Vultures, all while surviving a lethal virus. There will also be PvE excursion operations for players to gather gear and prep the battlefield before heading out into combat. Players will also have the chance to be one of 6 agents and select between 3 classes each match, all with their own perk and skills. But the game's listing doesn't confirm when this will be possible. The Division Heartland is given a very vague coming soon tease instead of an actual release date, though that status might change with Ubisoft Forward around the corner. Greg, you're probably the person I know who is the most anticipating of the Division Heartland. Does this do anything for you?
I'm excited for more Division. I don't like the idea where they're talking about it promises massive PvEVP 45 player storm operations, and then this does. There will also be PvE excursion operations for players to gather gear and prep for the battlefield before heading out into combat. That makes me go, oh, so it has to be PvP, like a PvP no matter what is like the main thrust of the Heartland. That cools me a bit as somebody who loved Division 1 and 2 for the PvE thing. I know that obviously you could go into the Dark Zone and do all that. That was just never my jam. Like I like teaming up with people cooperatively and going after AI rather than doing that. So it's like, meh, you know what I mean? Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't be that much. Maybe, it will be a fun multiplayer mode. And then you get into this thing. Player will also have the chance to be one of 6 agents and select between 3 classes each match. Is like, okay. Like I like building out my agent. And again, this, I've had 2 of the Division games I want. That Division mobile game is, sounding a lot like just the Division on mobile. So it's like, I don't have what I'm looking for when it comes to these kind of Division games. So I don't know. Heartland, this would put it beneath in terms of my anticipation. This drops it below the mobile game. I'm more interested to see what the mobile game's all about.
Holy cow.
Well, they've already confirmed controller support, so I know I can use my backbone. So if it's just, hey, we made a game, we made the Division that you can play anywhere. Well, all right, cool. That sounds awesome.
Are you gonna, for the mobile game, are you planning to go into that alone, or do you think you're gonna be able to scrounge up a crew to go in there with?
I don't think it'll be hard to scrounge up a crew. I mean, I'm lucky to have the kind of funny best friends I could tweet out, but I imagine, Fran will probably be involved in that. Fran, he loves playing anything that's got the Division on it, and so I could go out there and do that with him. But what'll be more interesting for that is, will I want to that much, right? Because you figure like a mobile game for me is still very much like usually on mute, usually playing next to Jen or doing something else. Like it's not demanding all of my attention. So is it going to be something I want to get into a voice chat and I want to go do all this stuff for? We'll wait and see. Obviously, not much is known about that there. Well, I guess enough is known about the Division mobile game, but it's another one that I'm hoping to get a little bit more information from UB Forward this weekend.
Yeah, a Division Heartland is one that I want to hop into, but the more when I read about it through here, I get the same thing as you of like, oh, this sounds different from what the Division is, and like different is fine, but also not different in a way that gets me excited.
Compelling.
Yeah, it's compelling. And I'm somebody who, when it comes to the Division mobile game, like I don't like playing games on my phone that much. And so that's not something that appeals to me. And so like Heartland might be my one avenue into like in terms of the newer Division feature, if it is near,
sure.
To hop into it. And like right now I'm like, I don't know if I will hop into it, but we'll see about it. Like, are you excited for this Ubisoft Forward coming through this Saturday?
Saturday.
Yeah.
I didn't know that till we were doing the meeting last week. We've been talking about the date nonstop, and then Tim's like, it's on Saturday. I was like, oh, well.
Yeah,
I got shit to do. I don't know.
It was such a weird day for a video game thing.
Random ass September Saturday.
Yeah,
all right, sure, I guess, whatever.
I mean, I guess D23 is this weekend.
Yeah, sure, but that's like an ongoing thing, right? That's like a convention. I feel like that's a multi-day thing. The game thing is when? Blessing, you're hosting the game thing.
The game thing is Friday.
Friday, so it's like they're, you know.
Maybe they wanted to time it up for whatever games they're making for Disney,
Maybe. Great point. Maybe that is it. It's teed up there. Assassin's Creed, Disneyland.
Yep. Assassin's Creed, Mickey Mouse.
There you go.
That is a joke for the record. All right, this is a joke. Let's hop into story number 4. Let's keep talking about Ubisoft. Ubisoft's new mobile shooter is reportedly a scrapped Far Cry game. This comes from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. Wild Arena Survivors, Ubisoft's new mobile battle royale game that launched quietly last week, was reportedly once a Far Cry game. A source familiar with Wild Arena Survivors told MobileGamer.biz that it was once called Far Cry Wild Call and was intended to be a battle royale spinoff for the franchise, with a similar art direction as Far Cry 6. The name remains in some part of the game. Players take part in the Wild Call Festival, and the game is reminiscent of Far Cry 6 in other ways, including its color palette, art style, roaming, animals, and more. Who's getting married?
These people.
Oh, the trailer.
Oh no, Bless!
Oh God, he's got a knife.
She's got a knife.
Oh Lord. The Far Cry name was reportedly cut from the game as a means for Ubisoft to cut back on marketing and other costs after the game failed to make such much of an impact during its testing phase. The source also claimed that Ubisoft's mobile games get less care and attention than the publisher's bigger console and PC titles, seemingly contributing to the quiet launch of Wild Arena Survivors last week. Now, my first question for you, Greg, is that did you know that Wild Arena Survivors? Yeah, no, that's the same font, isn't it?
Certainly
That looks like the same font. And it might be the font that Ubisoft always uses. But did you know that Wild Arena Survivors launched last week?
Blessing, not a chance in hell that I knew Wild Arena Survivors launched last week.
This is the first I've heard of this game. It was once a Far Cry.
Well, I mean, hey, that's what they wanted to save on the marketing budget by giving it $0 because they didn't have to care about Far Cry, I guess. It'll be interesting that, it's a weird, that's out, that's whatever. But again, if you have UB Forward this week, right? That's another great one of like, this is out right now, and you show maybe that trailer and some gameplay from it, and maybe you do all this. I don't know if they sound super cold on it, like it's not good or whatever, but
yeah, at this point, I'm expecting to not see it at the Ubisoft Forward. And
I can see that for sure.
Maybe it's them trying to bury it. Ubisoft is. I know you talked about this with Tim because I think I listened to the episode, and me and Tim talk about this all the time. That Ubisoft is in such an interesting, fascinating, weird place as a company where none of what they're talking about appeals to me, and I don't think appeals to many people, right? Aside from like the tidbits here and there, like Mario and Rabbids, people are excited for that. I'm sure when they show off Assassin's Creed, what was it called? Assassin's Creed Mirage. I think there's gonna be a crowd that's really excited for that. Assassin's Creed Infinity, I think that could be promising if they message that the right way. I think there's an audience that'll be excited for that. But even this year alone, Greg, Rainbow Six Extraction came out this year. Do you remember?
Jesus Christ!
We played that for a week.
yeah, we enjoyed it for what it was. We had fun with it.
Yeah,
Mike was super into it.
And Mike was super into it. But Ubisoft would have wanted to make way more of that out of that game, right? Because that has the Rainbow Six, that has the branding in there, right? That's coming off of Rainbow Six Siege, which is the thing that for Ubisoft lived for years and years and years. Extraction, I know it's PvE, right? Different thing. You probably don't expect it to have the same impact as Siege, but I would think that you expect it to have some sort of post-launch impact. And as far as I remember, I've not read anything or seen any reports about post-launch content for Extraction, which surprises me, right? Roller Champions also came out a few months ago, and that's one that I've already forgotten about, right? I had fun with that on day one and was not compelled to go back to it. Skull and Bones is coming out the day before God of War Ragnarok, and the same day Sonic Frontiers, which it should worry a bit more about. But yeah, the Ubisoft slate is like, right now I'm just like, dude, what is going on? Like, where are the exciting games? Where are the hits?
Assassin's Creed? Does that do anything for you? Yeah, I mean, you got Mirage, Infinity, right? Infinity one day coming on, and what the hell that'll be? That's pretty much all I can promise you at this point. Oh, God, don't get me started.
Yeah, Rocksmith Plus. If people like that Rocksmith.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about Ubisoft a lot more later in the week. For now, let's hop into story number 5. A PS5 Gray Camouflage Collection has been revealed. I'm pulling directly from the PlayStation blog. Bring a fresh, unique aesthetic into play with the new Gray Camouflage Collection coming to the PS5 family of accessories. Adding to the previously released Galaxy-inspired color lineup, the Gray Camouflage Collection features a matching set of accessories with the DualSense wireless controller, PS5 console covers for both the PS5 with the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive and the PS5 Digital Edition, and Pulse 3D wireless headset. Starting on October 14th, the DualSense wireless controller in Gray Camouflage will be available on direct.playstation.com and will be offered at other participating retailers starting October 28th. Starting October 14th, the PS5 console covers in Gray Camouflage will be available exclusively on direct.playstation.com in these locations. I don't like it.
No, not at all. Like, I look at this, I'm like, all right, with different strokes for different folks. I'm sure there's somebody who wants.
We got to stop doing camo on accessories, man. It's never, right? It never looks.
They must sell.
Yeah.
The fact that they keep doing them, they must sell. Now, I think, don't get me wrong, camo not my jam, but I sure do love that camo kind of funny sweatshirt.
Kind of funny sweatshirt.
See, I don't mind it on clothes. It's specifically like when Xbox did like like when they did the camo controller like a year or two ago. It just never looks good to me, man. Especially gray. Like why gray out of all colors? Come on.
I mean, you're trying to camouflage it with a gray living room. You got to hide your accessories. You got a thief coming into your home and wanted to steal the things. They see the DVD player
wall over there.
They see the PS5 and they're like, oh, that's not a PS5. That's the wall. I'm just looking at the wall.
But here's the thing, Bless, it's not the entire thing is camo, so they're still going to be able to see the.
They're gonna see the big ass middle black.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's the PS5. It looks a little weird. I can't see the rest of it, but there it is.
Where are the plates on this thing? Why are the plates absent? I'm just looking at the middle of a PS5. What are these earbuds? these weird wireless earbuds. Oh man. Oh shit. You pick it up and you realize, oh shit.
Oh man, this is three-dimensional. This is all connected.
Oh shit! Oh man! They try to hide it from me. I found it though. I found it.
All right, I don't like that. I'm good. I don't need those.
Are we gonna get like a God of War Ragnarok accessory set, or does PlayStation just not give a fuck?
Great question,
like, that
Bless.
seems like an easy win, right?
Yeah. You wonder what it is, though. Like, you figure the plan before the world spiraled in on itself would have been probably you're going to get a God of War Ragnarok, a bundle, right? Where you get the PlayStation 5 that is decked out a certain way. And then obviously the, shortage on everything and the inability to get a PlayStation easily has probably neutered all those ideas. And so then you have to wonder, there's probably been the conversation of, well, do we put out plates and do we put out a controller for it? And then that would set the precedent of that's what you're going to do when I'm sure PlayStation looks 5 years in the future, or 2 years, 3 years in the future. And it's more like, well, we still want to get back to doing bundles for our big games. So we still want there to be a Ghost of Tsushima 2 PlayStation 5 bundle that way. And they probably go, well, let's not burn it then this way and just do it that way.
When you say bundle, like, are you talking about
you buy like the gunmetal gray PlayStation 3, right? The God of War PlayStation 4 we had. I mean, like the decked out. It's a controller and it is a plate that is God of War themed and has the axe on it and all that shit. But rather than put that out now and set the precedent that you're going to be able to buy them randomly in stores, for the $20, $30, $50, whatever they are, it'll instead be no. We want you to buy the new unit when you can one day.
That makes sense. Because for me, when I look at the place, I'm like, this is what it feels like. This is what they're teeing up, right? The idea of being able to show up to a store and get like the God of War set or the Horizon set, or like this gets you around having to release full consoles of like, this is the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 thing, right? Like, you can do it easier, not worry about the parts. But I guess that makes sense if they want to manufacture, or if they want to sell it alongside consoles and have it be a big blow up thing. Make more money
you
that
figure
way.
Like here, Stretch Caramel says that they can do a game plus the PlayStation 5 plates bundle. Yeah, they could, but again, they're setting precedent that way. Then because then inevitably when it's Horizon 3 and they do it for Horizon 3 that you have to buy the new PlayStation 5 for it, people are gonna get pissed about it. Look at that goddamn beautiful
God.
PS4.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the
thing.
way the PS4 Pro is designed, right? Like, that was, you couldn't like take that off and then have it look good with like another top of a PS4 Pro, right? The way the PS5's made, you can easily switch.
Although I do like the idea of like building a sandwich with the PS4 Pro. Have like the top Spider-Man, the middle Death Stranding, the bottom Spider-Man. It's like, oh yeah, it's a fucking Death Stranding sandwich.
I miss this console. I miss it a lot.
Do you?
Well, I missed my Spider-Man one.
Oh yeah.
I had this.
Yeah.
It's
1000%.
somewhere at my in my sister's room, gathering dust probably.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't miss the PS4 in general.
Oh,
PlayStation 5 is great.
Yeah, the PS4 was loud, dude. Fucking
yeah,
loud.
but like it had themes. It
did have themes. I do miss some of the UI elements.
I don't miss how slow the UI was, especially in those last couple of years. But
yeah, no, 100%.
I miss it.
Final news story. This is also coming from the PlayStation blog. Firewall Ultra has been announced. This is again from the PlayStation blog. Since day one, First Contact Entertainment has been focused on bringing quality experiences to virtual reality, and our team has always believed in pushing the boundaries of what's possible, which is why now, after 4 years of support for Firewall Zero Hour, we are proud to announce that we'll be pushing those boundaries once again with our next live operated first-person multiplayer shooter for PlayStation VR 2, Firewall Ultra. Firewall Ultra is the next evolution in the Firewall franchise. We're taking advantage of new features that PSVR 2 has to offer. Set 5 years after the original game, the contractors and locations you've grown to love have evolved and moved into the next generation. Since PSVR 2 offers bugs. Bugs? What do you mean bugs?
There was bugs on the floor, like Metal Gear.
Oh, I thought you meant it was like buggy or something like that. Since PSVR 2 offers a much higher level of visual fidelity with 4K HDR, we've completely remade all character models. The maps have also seen a complete overhaul with new areas and new textures. There'll also be new locations and contractors, but it wouldn't be a Firewall game without the weaponry and equipment, which also feature a much deeper level of customization. We've been listening to our community over the past 4 years, and we're proud to announce that you'll be playing Firewall Ultra on dedicated servers. Woo! We're also adding rounds to the game, so each match will now be the best of 3, and we're adding an entirely new PvE experience. Plus, we have future content planned post-launch, such as new contractors, maps, and weapons. On top of all that, Firewall Ultra utilizes new PSVR 2 Sense technology, features like eye tracking, which enables you to intuitively swap weapons and bring up HUD indicators through cameras built into the PSVR 2 headset. Greg, you are, once again, the biggest Firewall Zero Hour fan I have in my life.
Thank you.
What does this do for you?
This is super exciting. Of course, if you never saw any of Firewall 0 Hour, you can check out the PSVR show we did on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames where we played some Firewall 0 Hour and talk about it. Me and Kevin loved this game. We love playing this game. It's, I should say Firewall 0 Hour. We love playing that game. And it is one of my examples that I think everybody has of when VR clicks and is so natural and is that, holy shit, I can't believe this works this way. That's how this game was. The fact that it actually did it. And yeah, it was rough around the edges. And yeah, it was PSVR 1. All that said, First Contact Entertainment is such a talented VR studio, and they supported Firewall 0 Hour for so long that it's super exciting to see them on board with a PlayStation VR 2 exclusive in Firewall Ultra. And so I hope it's a launch game. I hope it is as good as it should be on PlayStation VR 2 and take advantage of all that stuff. And it gets me super excited. Bless it. The short answer is it gets me super excited because they did so much with what PlayStation VR 1 was. I'm excited to see what they do with PlayStation VR 2. And then this opens up, I wonder if they're going to, how you're going to handle, one of the cool things about PlayStation VR for Firewall 0 Hour was that it had that gun attachment, right? The sharpshooter, is that what it's called? I can never remember anymore. But the one where you could slide in your move wands and walk around and have it be feel like it was the actual gun, which of course was underutilized, but awesome for this experience. And so I wonder if they'll be making something like that for this to put your new sense wands or whatever the fuck they're called into.
Yeah. I missed out on the sharpshooter accessory, so I didn't get to play the game like that. And I'm convinced that that's why I didn't click as much with the game.
For
I feel
sure.
like I needed that thing.
For sure, I can understand that. Yeah, it definitely took it to another level, I think, of having that, physical, all right, I'm holding what feels like the same machine gun I'm using in game. But load times are always a problem. The best of 3 is a great thing because it would be a hard idea of getting everybody in there. And then, if you're just climbed out right away, I'm like, oh, well, that was a waste.
And also, I'm sure matchmaking isn't the easiest when it comes to a VR multiplayer game because the install base isn't as high. So if it is, hey, you're staying in a game longer as opposed to requeuing up over and over again, I'm sure that's going to keep people in the game more. And like reading through this entire blog post, usually for a story like this, I would have kept only like a paragraph or two, but I kept the whole thing because every single detail feels vital for how they're making this new one. It feels so iterative, but in all the good ways that you'd want out of a game like this.
Them learning from their experiences, right?
Them talking about like, this is how we did it in Firewall 0 Hour, but in the new one we're gonna have eye tracking. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have that. We're keeping the same maps, but we're gonna remodel them, build them again from the ground up, and adding new content. Working on PvE stuff.
PvE is huge too because to cut your teeth before it was very much like there was a training thing, but then there was more. You have to go play, and so again, if you were having matchmakers or you're solo and you weren't good and you wanted to practice, it would be there. I'm interested to see what this eye tracking stuff means in terms of being able to intuitively swap weapons or bring up HUD indicators through the cameras built in, looking at your eyes. That sounds, of course, like Minority Report crazy stuff, crazy technology, but I'm excited to see how it works because like that, of course, having your eyes shielded when you're using anything does make it difficult at times. And there was a lot going on in Firewall 0 Hour in terms of what you could do. So if they make that easier, make it more intuitive, that sounds great.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think I'm also excited just for the fact that I'm going to be able to play alongside. I'm sure you and Kevin and Mike and whoever else wants to hop in. And so I'm going to actually have people to play with and alongside the kind of funny community. So I think that's going to be fun. And the one last thing on this is I wonder how many more VR games we're going to hear about soon. Because one of the conversations me and Tim had, I think last week, right before Gamescom, was about how they announced that PSVR 2 is coming spring 2023. Yeah. And both me and Tim were like, oh yeah, this is interesting timing. Like they just busted this out of nowhere, which isn't unlike PlayStation. But for me, the thought process was, oh yeah, I'm sure maybe we'll hear about VR games soon. Maybe that's the thing is some developers might want to start showing off their things and then like with being able to say, hey, we're coming spring 2023. Them not giving spring 2023 makes me wonder if we're actually going to see it spring 2023 because they could also just say that. But maybe they are waiting for an event or something to finally put the stamp on this is coming out launch on PlayStation. But
you know how it goes too, obviously, right? Of like they don't want to. Are they confident on what date they can hit? Blah blah blah. And then I'm sure PlayStation will want to make a big deal out of its launch lineup for PlayStation VR 2. So clearly, if it is part of it, they don't even want to tip your hand to that, right? They'd rather it be like, okay, cool. Well, wait for the big push and find out what's going to happen.
You maybe have that, the Xbox Game Pass style, like, and everything's coming to Game Pass, right? If you can have a PlayStation VR event and go, and these 10 games are going to be at launch, I think that can be a hype thing and a hype announcement to bundle up together. But Greg, us learning more about PSVR 2 is just so far away. If I want to know what's coming out to mom and pop shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, we got Biomutant for PS5 and Xbox Series X, Temtem for PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch, and PC. And Temtem is one I've heard a lot. It's a Pokemon
I was gonna say, are you
style
interested
game.
at all about this?
A little bit, but I have too many other games to play. Like between God of War and
Sure.
Tinykin, I want to play, and I kind of want to play more of Immortality still. I don't think
Because Temtem's like the Pokemon one, right? That's the deal.
Yeah, Pokemon, but I think it's even more.
Look at this brand. Look at this new shirt we got, making an ant out of a molehill.
God damn it!
Good
I
job,
never get
Luke.
the cool merch. I only get the merch that makes fun of me. But yeah, like I think it's mostly more online connected, like almost more MMO adjacent. Okay. It sounds interesting and it looks interesting. And so if you're a Pokemon person and want to play it on PlayStation, there you go. Out today. We also got the Tomorrow Children Phoenix Edition for PS5 and PS4. Come back for that game. Yeah. We got Gloomwood Early Access out today for PC. Circus Electric, not like the common album, Electric Circus. That's out today for PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch. Disney Dreamlight Valley Early Access is out today everywhere.
Joey's been playing a lot of it. She'll be talking about on Gamescast this week.
Yeah, and she also had a Twitter thread up today. If you want
but
to
don't read that.
Twitter.
Wait, give us the click on Gamescast.
Yeah, give us the Gamescast click first and then read it. Monstrum 2 is out on PC. Life in Willowdale Farm Adventures is out today on PC. And then Rocksmith Plus is out today on PC. Woo! There you go. Hell yeah, Ubisoft getting them wins in.
Does anybody in the chat play Rocksmith? Because I know that it is popular. I know that a lot of people use it. Any of you?
A friend of mine from high school really loves Rocksmith, and Rocksmith's been around for since 2014, right?
Yeah.
They've been playing around with Rocksmith for the last 8 years.
Okay.
I've heard very good things about it. Apparently it is
Fran
really good.
does.
Fran fucking plays it?
I guess there's a lot of menus in it.
I don't think that should surprise any of us. That sounds like a very Fran thing to do, is to play Rocksmith. I'm sure he's very excited about Rocksmith.
I mean, he had to have learned to play guitar somewhere, you know?
Exactly. New dates for you. Rocket League Sideswipe Season 5 will be live tomorrow. And then coming to Game Pass, today you're getting Disney Dreamlight Valley, Opus Magnum, Train Sim World 3. On September 13th, you're getting Ashes of the Singularity, DC League of Super Pets. September 14th, you're getting You Suck at Parking. And then on September 15th, you're getting Dispose Game. And you're also getting Metal Hellsinger. Hell yeah. Great month for Game Pass. We got a deal of the day for you. This comes from Wario64. The Red Faction Complete Collection is $12.25 right now on Steam. If you know me, you know I love that Red Faction. You can go get that right now. Of course, that includes Gorilla, Armageddon.
You know me. You know I love that Red Faction.
I love that Red Faction.
Yeah, Blessing's always talking about punching through the walls in Red Faction.
I don't fucking shut up about Red Faction, but specifically the first one on PS2 and then Gorilla are like my two that I fuck with. But I think the other ones are fine. But go play Red Faction 1. It's great.
They're fine.
It's
fine.
We got a squad up for you from Joseph Carlson, who writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like you can. It says, just looking for a few best friends to chat with about your content while we play Xbox. If you want to add Joseph on Xbox,
that sounds like he wants to vent about how bad the content is.
Let's talk about how much fucking KFF sucks when it was on.
Hate Mike. Do you guys hate him?
You can add Joseph on Xbox with the username UnfadingMaple. That is UnfadingMaple, capital U, capital M. Before we go, we do have a required reading for you. Sad story that happened over this last week. Kotaku's Mike Fahey, and I'm actually going to pull directly from the Polygon article because that's what I'm going to point you toward. Kotaku's Mike Fahey, beloved big kid of video games journalism, dies at 49. I'm going to read a little excerpt from Owen S. Good at Polygon. Mike Fahey of Kotaku, one of the longest tenured writers at one of video gaming's oldest and most read online publications, died on Friday. He was 49. Over 16 years, Fahey wrote with great hilarity and deep affection for toys, snacks, giant robots, video games, and the emotional ties binding them all to his readership. The Polygon article goes on, but I implore everybody right now, if you want to go give that the click over on Polygon, read more about Mike Fahey. This is one that I recognize the name Mike Fahey as somebody who followed video game journalism and now somebody who is in the games media space. Saw his name all over, would read his stuff every now and then. And this is one that once it was announced last week, so many people came through and were like, oh man, showed love, showed support. Very sad story.
Yeah, Mike was a super, super nice guy. Yeah, a really great person. And so, yeah, I, got to hang out with him once at MomoCon because of how far we were across the country. And then obviously every so often would interact with him on Twitter, but he was always just the nicest dude. And so obviously the article has it for his obituary over here on Polygon. There's a link obviously to go to a GoFundMe for his partner and 2 children. Of course, Mike had a whole bunch of chronic health issues. We had helped raise money for a hospital bed for him not too long ago. So yeah, if you have the means to help, that'd be great. But more importantly, it's just, celebrate his life. And obviously, be there for the Kotaku team. I think that's the thing. You've seen a lot of that going around that, Kotaku hasn't posted about this yet. And a lot of people are being a lot of assholes about that in terms of why that is, completely forgetting, of course, that they knew him the best. You know what I mean? They're not trying to be first with a fucking post about it. They're trying to go through the grief process right now and go through the very beginning of grieving, I guess. And so everybody just needs to understand that and, of course, celebrate Mike.
100%. Now it's time for kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, where you write in and let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong so we can correct it for those watching later on YouTube and listening later on podcast services around the globe. Kebabs writes in and says, Svartalfheim in AC Valhalla's Dawn of Ragnarok DLC is pronounced Svartalfheim. Svartalfheim. I'm just going to call it Svartalfheim. Let's see. Radic writes in and says, not a you're wrong, but additional tidbits on Cyberpunk from earlier today. Apart from Keanu Reeves returning as Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, there will also be, Giancarlo Esposito of Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul fame, voicing the character named Faraday in Cyberpunk Edgerunners, anime series launching next week on Netflix. We just revealed full English cast on Twitter via @Edgerunners official channel for everyone to check out. Oh yeah, Radic works for
Radic, yeah. It's Radic, yeah.
Radic, yeah. Appreciate that, Radic. Funny enough, this is the most random thing ever. I had a dream last night that Giancarlo Esposito was in, where
okay,
I was working at my previous job and I was slacking, like constantly, right? I wasn't doing any real work. I would just like hang out and like act like I was doing work for like months and months and months. And like one of the mornings I got to work, I was like, hey, I sat down, started my computer, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna take a quick 15. I want to grab breakfast real quick. And Giancarlo, and it was Giancarlo as basically Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
Fair enough, yeah.
As I'm about to walk out, he's like, hey, actually, go back to your desk for a second. And I was like, oh, okay. And I walk back to my desk, and I'm like, oh, what's his deal? And he comes over, and he's like, hey, on Bring My Daughter to Work Day the other day, my daughter noticed that you weren't doing anything on your computer, and so. For the entirety of yesterday, I was monitoring your screen to see if you're doing any real work.
Damn.
And you weren't doing any real work, so you're in trouble. And I was like, "Fuck, man, Gus is mad at me." And then like I don't remember much.
You're watching too much Better Call Saul right now.
I am. I don't remember much about the dream after that, but I woke up feeling guilty as fuck, dude. Like it was that thing where
as you should.
The feeling carried over, and so I woke up and I was like, "Oh damn, Gus is gonna get me." It was wild. But thanks, Radic, for reminding me of that dream. I thought I forgot it. Nano writes in and says, according to Extraction's website, the last major update was Nightmare Fog back in May 2022, which released a new Crisis event. And then Jay Fulcrum says PlayStation Plus free games are up, so hop on that. I believe that's Need for Speed, Toem, and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, if I remember correctly. Great month for PS Plus. This week's hosts for Kind of Funny Games Daily go like this. Tomorrow, you're getting Greg and Jeff Gertzman. On Thursday, you're getting Greg and Tim. Then on Friday, you're getting Tim and Greg. If you're watching this live on Twitch, after this is Zelda Breath of the Wild with Andy and Mike. If you want to catch that stream later, you can subscribe to youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays. Remember, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday live right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. We have a Patreon post show for those that are subbed at the silver level of patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. So stick around for that. Otherwise, until next time, Game Daily.